My name is Josh Wheeler and I'm studying a Bachelor of Arts majoring in Biblical Studies and Classical Hebrew at the University of Sydney, and I'm in my 4th year doing an honours year. I started off doing a maths degree at Sydney University. I came for that, but I took an elective in Hebrew, not really for any reason, it just kind of interested me. But pretty soon into the degree, I realised I didn't want to do maths, and so after a couple of semesters, I made the switch to classical Hebrew and biblical studies. I was drawn, I think, by being able to think about things in a creative way and not stuck in the constraints of maths and science. Biblical studies is taught at Sydney University in a really interactive way. Right from the start, you're encouraged to bring your ideas to class and your theories. It's not just a couple of years of learning what other people think. Right from the start, I remember I was able to come up with some crazy theories that, looking back on them, they were completely ridiculous. But none of my teachers discouraged me. They always encouraged what was good about what I was saying and managed to hone what I was thinking and bring it in a little bit over time. But it's very self-driven. They encourage you to do what you love, as well as giving you the input and the insight from the expertise that they have. The Bible is absolutely written into the foundation of Western civilization. And whether religiously or not religiously, I think it has a resonance with most people because it's the world and it's the thinking and philosophy that we've come from. I think that makes it so important then for us to actually think about the Bible in an academic way so that we can get better insight into its world, and so I think a better insight into our world in ways that maybe we don't even understand ourselves. And so thinking about the Bible in an academic way, outside of either a religious way, a spiritual way, or an experiential way, means that we actually get to think about some of the major cornerstones of our civilization. Studying Hebrew has meant that not only am I able to read the text, but I'm able to enter the world of the authors. I can't pretend to be anything like a Jew 2,000 years ago living in Israel, but understanding the language means I can actually think and feel in the ways that they do, in their worldview, in their idiosyncrasies. And it means that I get to read the language not with a Western and an English framework, but as best as I can with their framework. At the start, what I loved about Hebrew most was how much of a puzzle it was. It's so different to English and European languages that understanding Hebrew and reading Hebrew, it's kind of like a puzzle. You have to see how all the pieces fit together before the language comes together. I think I've enjoyed over the years as I've been solving the puzzles verses by verse that eventually the sentences start making sense and you start not having to solve the puzzle each time, but actually being able to read the sentence. And it makes it really fun reading the text and hearing the Bible in a voice that I hadn't heard it before. When I got into the 3rd year of my study, I was loving biblical studies, I was loving Hebrew, and what I was loving most was being able to write essays on theories that I wanted to follow up and ideas in the text that I thought could be teased out. I got to do that in each of the units I did, but honours and doing a whole year focusing on one thesis was an opportunity to focus on one thing and drill into it. That was really exciting for me. The idea was enticing, and so as I talked to some of the lecturers and as they encouraged me to study honours and do 1 year focused on one thing, it was a great opportunity, and so I dove into it. For my honours degree, I'm actually studying a text that was written about 2,000 years before the Bible. It's called the Baal Cycle. It's a Ugaritic text written in northern Syria in the 2nd millennia BC. I'm studying this text because it has some impact on the Bible, and there are lots of scholars out there who think that this text, the Baal Cycle, can be used to understand some of the crazier parts of the Bible, things like the book of Daniel and the wild visions that are in that book. So I'm slowing down and I'm reading this text to see how valid the claims of these scholars actually are. So I'm assessing what they're saying, and then I'm coming up with a conclusion that actually helps us hone how we read the Bible and how we understand the background of the Bible. If you have questions or passions or challenges for the Bible, then I absolutely think that Doing biblical studies and Hebrew at the University of Sydney is for you. It's given me an opportunity to challenge and push myself, and I think it'll give you an opportunity to stretch your understanding and do it with people that want to see you have your questions answered and want to push you in how you think about the Bible.